No one spoke when the Alpha King entered the square. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Torches flickered against ancient stone as hundreds of wolves bowed their heads, not daring to meet the eyes of Rolf Torgerson, the most feared Alpha in the 5 kingdoms. His golden crown caught the firelight, a brutal reminder of the power he wielded without mercy. He had come for the mating auction, but not for the reasons they thought. The platform was lined with women in silk and jewels, daughters of noble houses preening for his attention. They smiled, they posed, they hoped. Each one dreamed of becoming his queen, of sharing his throne and his bed. Rolf's cold gaze passed over them, like they were nothing. His eyes stopped on the last girl. She stood apart from the others, bound in rope, her head covered by a coarse burlap sack. Her torn blue dress hung loose on her thin frame. Bare feet, bruised and dirty, pressed against cold stone. The auctioneer had pushed her to the edge of the platform like discarded trash. Defective, someone had written on the board beside her. Nolini. Unbondable. Reserve price. 10 silver. The crowd laughed, but Rolf wasn't laughing. He stepped forward, his massive frame cutting through the sea of bodies, and grabbed the rope binding her wrists. I'll take this one. Quick pause, comment where you're watching from, and if you're enjoying this story, please like and subscribe. I've got a lot more coming. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a wave breaking against rocks. Whispers erupted from every corner of the square. The Alpha King, the most powerful man in the realm, had just claimed the girl nobody wanted. Laughter started somewhere in the back. Then more joined in. Soon the entire square was filled with cruel mockery. The king chooses a beggar. What statement is he making now? Does he pity the creature, or is this some kind of joke? Rolf's jaw tightened, but his expression remained unreadable. He yanked the rope, pulling the hooded girl forward. She stumbled but didn't cry out, didn't beg, didn't even try to resist. That alone intrigued him. Most women would have fallen to their knees by now, pleading for mercy or trying to seduce him with desperate promises. But this one, she was silent as death itself. He dragged her down the platform steps, the crowd parting before him like he carried a plague. His generals exchanged uncertain glances. His advisors looked horrified. Even his enemies seemed confused by the choice. Good. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them think he'd gone mad. He pulled her into the shadow of a stone archway, away from the prying eyes and the torchlight. His fingers found the edge of the burlap sack covering her face. Let's see what I've bought, he muttered, more to himself than to her. He ripped the hood away and froze. The girl before him was not ugly. She was breathtaking. Golden hair spilled over her shoulders like molten sunlight. Her skin was pale, smooth, unmarked by the rough treatment she'd endured. But it was her eyes that stopped him cold. They glowed, faintly, like moonlight trapped beneath ice. And in them, he saw something that made every instinct in his body scream danger. Power. Ancient, dormant, and buried deep, but unmistakable. His hand tightened on the rope. His pulse quickened, though his face remained a mask of stone. Who are you? He demanded, his voice low and lethal. The girl met his gaze, without flinching. Her lips didn't move, but her eyes told him everything. She knew exactly who she was. And she knew he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life by claiming her. The fortress loomed ahead like a caged beast carved from black stone. Selena, that's what the auctioneer had called her, rode in silence behind Rolf, her bound wrists chafing against the rope. She hadn't spoken a single word since he'd unveiled her. Not during the riot of whispers that followed. Not during the tense ride through the forest. Her silence unnerved him more than any threat could. Rolf dismounted in the inner courtyard, his generals already waiting. Captain Bjorn, his most trusted warrior, stepped forward with barely concealed concern. My king, the council demands an explanation. Why did you choose? I don't answer to the council. Rolf cut him off. Take her to the West Tower. Post guards. No one enters without my permission. Bjorn's eyes flicked to Selena, then back. Is she a prisoner or a bride? She's mine. That's all anyone needs to know. He grabbed Selena's arm and pulled her toward the tower entrance. She didn't resist, but he felt the coiled tension in her body, like a wolf pretending to be a lamb. The West Tower room was lavish. Silk curtains, a four-poster bed, a balcony overlooking the kingdom. But the heavy door and the guards outside told the truth. This was a gilded cage. Rolf cut the ropes from her wrists. She rubbed the raw skin but still said nothing. "You're going to tell me who you are," he said quietly. "And you're going to tell me why your eyes glow like a moonblood heir." Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft but carried an edge sharper than any blade. "You already know what I am. That's why you're afraid." Rolf's hand moved to his sword instinctively. The moon bloodline was exterminated 20 years ago. Almost exterminated. Her lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You missed one." His blood ran cold. The Moonbloods had been the most powerful alpha bloodline in history. Their females could amplify or destroy an alpha's power with a single touch. They could bond or break. That's why his father had hunted them to extinction. "If anyone discovers what you are, they'll kill me.
Or use me."
"I know." She turned to face him fully, and those luminous eyes locked onto his. "So what will you do, Alpha King? Execute me to protect your throne? Or keep me hidden like the dirty secret I am?" He should kill her.
Right now.
One strike and the last Moonblood would be gone forever. But his hand wouldn't move to his blade. Because something primal in him recognized her. Not as an enemy, as a mate. 3 days passed in careful silence. Selena remained in her tower. Guarded but treated well. Rolf avoided her, throwing himself into council meetings and border disputes. Anything to distract from the pull he felt toward her. But the kingdom was already whispering. "She's a curse," Lord Halvard spat, slamming his fist on the council table. "Every kingdom that sheltered a Moonblood fell to ruin." "She's just a girl," Rolf replied coldly. "A girl whose bloodline nearly destroyed us." Another lord stood. "Your father spent years hunting them down. And now you bring one into our very heart." Captain Bjorn leaned forward. "My king, perhaps if you explained why." "I don't need to explain anything." Rolf's voice dropped to a lethal quiet. "She stays. Anyone who touches her will answer to me." The room fell silent. But Rolf could see it in their eyes.
Fear.
Suspicion. And worse, calculation. Someone in this room would try to kill her. That night, he went to her tower himself. The guard stepped aside without a word. He found her on the balcony, staring at the moon. "You should eat," he said, nodding to the untouched food on her table. "I should escape," she replied without turning. "But you've posted guards at every exit. You're safer here." "Safe." She finally looked at him. "Your council wants me dead. Your people fear me. And you." Her eyes searched his face. "You want something from me, but you don't know what." He stepped closer. Too close. He could smell her now, moonlight and something wild, untamed. "I want to know why you were at that auction. If you're the last Moonblood, you should have been in hiding. Protected. Not bound and sold like livestock." Pain flickered across her face. "I was protected. Until they found us. My guardian, she sacrificed herself, so I could run. The traitors captured me 3 days later. They had no idea what I was. Just another unwanted girl to sell. And you didn't tell them. Would you?" She turned back to the moon. "I was safer being nobody." Rolf studied her profile, delicate but fierce. "You're not safe anywhere now. Because of you." There was no accusation in her voice, just fact. "The moment you chose me, you painted a target on my back." She was right, and he had no good answer for why he'd done it. "Then I'll protect you," he said quietly. She laughed, but it was a broken sound. "You can't even protect yourself from what's coming." "What do you mean?" Selena turned to him, and for the first time, he saw fear in her eyes. "My bloodline was hunted for a reason. We don't just amplify alpha power. We reveal the truth. And there are truths in your kingdom, Alpha King, that powerful people want to stay buried." Before he could respond, glass shattered. An arrow whistled past his head and struck the wall behind him. Rolf moved on instinct, grabbing Selena and pulling her to the ground as more arrows rained down from the darkness below. "Stay down," he roared. But she wasn't cowering. Her eyes blazed with that strange light, and the air around them began to hum with energy. "They're not trying to kill you," she gasped. "They're trying to kill me." The attack ended as quickly as it began. By the time Rolf's guards stormed the balcony, the assassins had vanished into the night. But the message was clear. Someone wanted Selena dead, and someone inside the fortress had given them access. Rolf carried Selena to his own chambers, the most fortified room in the fortress. She didn't protest. She was shaking, though whether from fear or something else, he couldn't tell. "Your arm," she said quietly. He glanced down. An arrow had grazed his shoulder, leaving a bleeding gash. He barely felt it. "It's nothing." "It's not nothing." She reached for him, her fingers hovering over the wound. "Let me." "Don't." He stepped back sharply. If she touched him, if she used her moonblood power on him, the bond would begin. And once it started, there was no breaking it. Hurt flashed in her eyes, quickly hidden. "Of course. Can't risk being bonded to the defective girl." "That's not." He exhaled roughly. "You don't understand what you are to me." Then explain it. How could he explain that every instinct in his body screamed to claim her? That his wolf recognized her as mate, as equal, as the other half of his soul? That he was terrified of the power she held, not over kingdoms, but over him? "I've spent my entire life refusing to bond," he said instead. "My father bonded with my mother, and it destroyed him when she died. Made him weak, vulnerable. I watched him fall apart. I swore I'd never let that happen to me. So you rule alone." Her voice was soft, understanding. "A king with no queen. No equal.
No weakness."
It's kept me alive this long. Has it kept you happy?" The question struck deeper than any blade. Rolf turned away from those knowing eyes. Happiness is a luxury kings can't afford. A knock at the door interrupted them. Captain Bjorn entered, his face grim. "We found the breach. The assassins came through the eastern tunnel." "That tunnel is sealed," Rolf said coldly. "The only people with keys are—" "The council members," Bjorn finished. "My king, I believe the attack came from inside." Rolf's hands clenched into fists. He'd suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed ignited a rage he'd been suppressing for days. "Summon the council."
"Now."
"My king, it's past midnight. I don't care if it's the middle of their goddamn dreams. Summon them." When Bjorn left, Selena spoke quietly. "If you confront them, you'll force their hand. They'll move against you openly." "Good. I'm tired of shadows." "Rolf." She used his name for the first time, and it stopped him cold. "They'll use me against you. Demand my execution as proof of loyalty. And if you refuse, then I'll show them what happens when someone threatens what's mine." The possessiveness in his voice surprised them both. Selena stepped closer, close enough that he could see the moonlight swirling in her eyes. "I'm not yours," she said softly.
"You bought me, yes, but you don't own me."
"I know." His voice was rough. "But I'll die before I let them take you." And in that moment, she saw the truth he'd been hiding. The ruthless Alpha King, the man who ruled through fear and iron control, who swore never to bond, never to love, was falling for the girl he'd bought in chains. The council assembled in the throne room, angry and suspicious. Rolf sat on his throne with Selena standing beside him, a deliberate statement that sent ripples of shock through the gathered nobles. "This is an outrage." Lord Halvard stood. "You bring that creature before the council. Mind your tongue." Rolf's voice cut like a blade. "Or lose it." Silence fell. "Someone tried to kill her tonight," Rolf continued, "from inside the fortress, using keys only council members possess." Murmurs erupted. Denials. Accusations between nobles. "Perhaps," Lady Astrid said carefully, "it would be simpler to remove the source of conflict, for the good of the kingdom." "You mean kill her?" I mean protect you, my king. The Moonblood curse. Is it a superstition? Rolf stood, and every wolf in the room felt the weight of his dominance. But assassination is treason, and I will find whoever sent those men. Lord Halvard's lip curled. And what happens when other kingdoms discover you harbor a Moonblood? When they come for her, and for us? Let them come. This is madness. Another lord stood. She's bewitched you, just like the Moonbloods bewitched the kings of old. The air suddenly grew cold, electric. Selena's eyes blazed with light, and every candle in the room flared bright blue before extinguishing. Darkness fell, broken only by the moonlight streaming through high windows and the glow emanating from her. I have bewitched no one, Selena's voice rang out, amplified by power. But if you want to see what I'm truly capable of, keep threatening me. The nobles fell back, some dropping to their knees. The raw power radiating from her was undeniable, ancient, terrifying, and Rolf had never wanted her more. When the light faded and the candles relit themselves, Selena swayed. Rolf caught her before she fell, and the moment his skin touched hers, electricity shot through them both. The bond was recognized. The bond called, but neither of them surrendered to it. Council dismissed, Rolf growled, still holding her. And if anyone speaks of what happened here, I'll personally remove their tongue. The nobles fled. When they were alone, Selena looked up at him.
I'm sorry.
I lost control. I shouldn't have. You were magnificent. She blinked, surprised. They needed to see your power, he continued, to understand what they're dealing with. But you've also just confirmed their worst fears. That I'm dangerous. That you're powerful enough to threaten them. He helped her to a chair. That display took a lot out of you. I haven't used my power in years. My guardian taught me to suppress it, but when they threatened me, when they threatened you... She closed her eyes. It just came out. Rolf knelt before her, bringing them eye to eye. Why would you defend me? I'm the one who put you in danger. Because despite everything, I don't think you're the monster they say you are. Her hand lifted, hovering near his face. I think you're just lonely. He caught her wrist gently before she could touch him. Don't. Afraid of me? Alpha King? Terrified. The honesty in his voice made her breath catch. The bond, she whispered. You feel it too. Every second I'm near you. His grip on her wrist tightened, not painfully, but desperately. But if we bond, Selena, I won't be able to let you go. Ever. And you deserve better than a king who bought you at an auction. Tears shimmered in her eyes. And you deserve better than a woman marked for death. They stayed like that, frozen in the space between what they wanted and what they could have, until the doors burst open and Captain Bjorn ran in, bloodied and panicked. My king, the southern border is under attack. It's Lord Halvard. He's leading a rebellion. The betrayal cut deeper than any blade. Lord Halvard hadn't just attacked. He'd allied with the Ironwood Pack, Rolf's oldest enemies. And he'd taken half the kingdom's forces with him. They're demanding your surrender, Bjorn reported. And they want the Moonblood girl handed over. They can rot in hell. My king, we're outnumbered 3-1. Half our forces sided with Halvard. Then we fight with a half that remained loyal. Rolf studied the maps. How long before they reach the fortress? 2 days. Maybe less. Rolf's jaw tightened. 2 days to prepare for a siege. 2 days before his kingdom tore itself apart. All because of her. No, not because of her. Because of him. Because he'd chosen pride over strategy. Power over caution. Because he'd chosen her. Evacuate the civilians, he ordered. Fortify the walls. And send word to our allies in the north. The northern packs will never arrive in time. I know. But I need them to know what happened here. If I fall, someone must continue the fight. Bjorn's face paled. My king, you speak as if. I speak as a king preparing for war. Rolf straightened. Now go. We have work to do. When Bjorn left, Rolf found Selena in the tower again, staring at the distant fires on the horizon. They're coming for me, she said without turning. They're coming for us both. You should give me to them."
Her voice was hollow.
End this before more people die. Rolf spun her around, his hands gripping her shoulders. "Is that what you think? That I'd trade you for peace? Isn't that what kings do? Sacrifice one to save many. Not this king. Not you." "Why?" she demanded, tears streaming down her face. "Why me? You don't even know me." "Because the moment I pulled that hood off your head, everything changed." His control finally shattered. "Because my wolf recognized you. Because even though it terrifies me, even though I swore I'd never bond, I can't imagine a world without you in it." She stared at him, shocked. "I've been dead inside for years," he continued, his voice raw. "Going through the motions. Ruling without purpose. And then you looked at me with those impossible eyes, and I felt something I thought I'd killed. Hope. Rolf, I know you don't trust me. I know you think I only want your power. But I'd give up my throne, my kingdom, everything, just to keep you safe." Selena's hand lifted to his face, and this time, he didn't stop her. The moment her skin touched his, the world exploded. Power surged between them like lightning. The mate bond snapped into place, undeniable and absolute. Rolf gasped as he felt her. Everything she was, everything she felt. The fear, the loneliness, the desperate hope she'd tried to hide. And beneath it all, she felt him too. The cold king who'd never let anyone close. The boy who'd watched his mother die and his father crumble. The man who'd built walls so high, he'd forgotten what it felt like to be touched. "I feel you," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder and terror. "I feel you too." And when he kissed her, it was like coming home to a place he'd never been. The bond settled into his bones like it had always belonged there. His wolf howled in recognition. Her power flared and twined with his, amplifying everything he was. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Selena touched her lips in shock. "What have we done?" "Exactly what we were always meant to do." But even as he said it, the weight of reality crashed down. They are bonded now, which meant if she died, he would follow. And an army was coming to kill them both. The attack came at dawn. Lord Halvard's forces surrounded the fortress like a tightening noose, their war cries echoing off the stone walls. Rolf stood on the battlements in full armor, Selena beside him. His warriors had objected to her presence, but he'd refused to hide her away. "If they want her, they'll have to go through me. My king." A messenger ran up. "Lord Halvard requests parley." "Of course he does." Rolf's voice dripped with contempt. "He wants me to surrender before he has to actually fight." He descended to the main gate, Selena following despite his protests. Halvard stood outside with his forces, a cruel smile on his weathered face. "Rolf Torgerson," Halvard called out. "I'll make this simple. Give us the Moonblood Witch. Abdicate your throne, and I'll grant you exile. Refuse, and we'll tear down these walls and kill everyone inside." "Tempting," Rolf replied coldly. "But I have a counteroffer. You can surrender now, and I'll make your death quick." Halvard laughed. "Look around you, boy. You're outnumbered, outmanned. Your allies won't arrive in time. This is over." "Is it?" Selena stepped forward, her eyes beginning to glow. "Or are you forgetting what I am?" Halvard's smile faltered. "You're one girl. Powerful, yes, but one girl against an army. Not just any girl." Rolf moved to stand beside her, their hands intertwining. "My mate.
My bond.
And you have no idea what we can do together." The moment they touched, power exploded outward from Selena. But this time it was different. Amplified. Rolf felt his own alpha dominance multiply tenfold as her moonblood power channeled through their bond. Every wolf in Halvard's army felt it, a crushing weight of pure alpha command. Hundreds of warriors fell to their knees, unable to resist the combined power of a bonded alpha king and a moonblood mate. Halvard struggled to his feet, his face twisted with rage and fear. This is forbidden magic." "No," Selena's voice rang out. "This is what your ancestors feared. This is why they hunted my bloodline. Because together, a bonded alpha and a moonblood are unstoppable. Kill them, Halvard screamed. Kill them both. But his warriors couldn't move. The command paralyzed them. Rolf stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of absolute dominance. Lord Halvard, you are guilty of treason, rebellion, and attempted murder. I sentence you to... An arrow whistled through the air. Not aimed at Rolf. Aimed at Selena. Rolf moved on instinct, his body intercepting the arrow meant for her heart. It struck him in the chest, and he fell. Rolf. Selena's scream tore through the battlefield. The power she'd been controlling exploded outward in a wave of pure destruction. The ground cracked. The air itself seemed to shatter. Warriors were thrown back like leaves in a storm. Halvard tried to run, but Selena's power found him, wrapped around him, and crushed. By the time her rage subsided, the entire rebel army had retreated in terror. But Selena had eyes only for the man bleeding in her arms. Don't you dare die on me, Selena sobbed, her hands pressed against the arrow wound in Rolf's chest. Don't you dare leave me now. The bond between them was screaming. She could feel his life slipping away, and it was tearing her apart. Selena, he gasped, blood on his lips. The arrow poisoned. I don't care. Her power flared brighter. I'm not losing you. She'd never tried to heal someone before. Her guardian had warned her that moonblood power was unpredictable, dangerous. But she didn't care about danger. She only cared about him. She poured everything she had into the bond, into him. Her power flooded through his body, searching for the poison, burning it away. She felt his wolf rising to meet hers, fighting to survive. Stay with me, she whispered. Please, Rolf. Stay with me. His eyes opened, those fierce, determined eyes that had first seen past her hood. I'm not going anywhere, he whispered back. Not without you. The arrow dissolved under her power. The wound began to close. His breathing steadied, and when he finally sat up, pulling her into his arms, the bond between them sang with joy and relief. Around them, Rolf's loyal warriors emerged from the fortress, led by Captain Bjorn. They'd won. Halvard was dead. The rebellion was broken. But the victory felt hollow compared to what they'd almost lost. 3 days later, Rolf stood before his assembled kingdom, not on his throne, but beside it, because there were 2 thrones now. Selena stood next to him, no longer in rags, but in a gown of midnight blue that matched her eyes. Her hair was crowned with moonflowers. She looked like what she was, a queen. My people, Rolf's voice carried across the great hall. I've ruled alone for too long, ruled through fear and dominance. But I've learned something these past weeks. He turned to Selena, taking her hand. True strength isn't found in standing alone. It's found in choosing to stand together. This woman, Selena Moonblood, the last of her line, could have destroyed me, could have taken my throne, my power, everything. Instead, she saved my life. And in return, he knelt before her. The entire kingdom gasped. In return, I offer her everything I am, not as a possession I bought, not as a weapon I wield, but as my equal, my mate, my queen. He held up a crown, delicate silver worked with moonstones that glowed like her eyes. Selena, he said softly, for her ears alone. I know I don't deserve you. I know I bought you in chains and treated you like property, but I'm asking you now freely to choose me. Not because fate demands it, not because we're bonded, but because I love you. And I want to build a kingdom where no one is ever bought or sold again, where power is shared, not hoarded, where the ugly ducklings are seen for the queens they truly are. Tears streamed down Selena's face as she looked at the man who terrified her, intrigued her, and ultimately captured her heart. I choose you, she whispered. I choose us. When Rolf placed the crown on her head, the entire kingdom erupted in cheers. The ruthless Alpha King who swore never to bond had found his mate, and the ugly duckling no one wanted had become the most powerful queen in history. Together, they would change everything. The mating auction was abolished within the first month of Queen Selena's reign. In its place, she established schools where unwanted girls could learn trades, magic, and combat, where being unbondable was celebrated, not condemned. Rolf's kingdom transformed from a place of fear to one of fierce loyalty. Because their king and queen had proven that strength and love weren't opposites, they were two sides of the same power. And on quiet nights, when the moon was full and the kingdom slept, Rolf would find Selena on their balcony, her eyes glowing with that ancient light. "Do you ever regret it?" he'd ask, pulling her into his arms. "Bonding with the monster who bought you?" Every day, she'd tease, then kiss him softly. "I regret that it took you so long to see what I saw from the beginning." And what's that? That the monster and the king were never the same person. You just needed someone to show you the difference. He'd hold her tighter then, grateful beyond words for the auction that brought them together. For the moment, he chose the girl nobody wanted, and discovered she was everything he needed. And so it was that power and love found balance. Where fear once ruled, hope now stands. The bonds we forge, through trust, sacrifice, and courage, cannot be broken. Today, a kingdom healed, a legacy renewed, and two souls forever bound show us that even in darkness, light endures. Remember this moment, for it is not the throne that makes a ruler, but the heart that guides them. If you enjoyed watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. More epic stories are coming, and you won't want to miss a single one. Asterisk,